which of these might work. I'm going to tell you why it might work, how it might work, but then I think the other part of it, you got to know the risks involved in using it and what could happen if it does work. All right, let's get right to it. So Amazon takes at least 24 hours in most places. And what if you need to run out today? The call or the text comes through and it becomes clear it's about to go down, and you have anxiety because last time you did it, it wasn't quite your best performance. You went soft in the middle. Your partner pretended not to notice, but it was awkward. So what will you do today? But you don't want to just get an erection. You also want to be able to keep one. So in this video, I'm going to review the on-the-shelf products that are available at whim. You don't have to wait 24 hours for them. You're running into your local CVS, Walgreens, what have you, and you can grab them off the shelf. Now, the one that I'm going to talk about today could potentially get you hard within an hour of taking it, but you don't need a prescription for it. And it's not a prescription drug. It's actually derived from a very natural substance. The thing about it is they don't have hidden ingredients in them like like some of the gas station pills or the chewables that they're saying are just gummies, but they do have a very present controversial ingredient, because this controversial ingredient is what physicians recommended before the blue pill came along, and it actually really worked. It worked so well that they had to put hurdles between you and getting it. It worked so well that so many guys were taking it, they were overdosing on it. They were using it for workouts, for fitness, for this, for that. And it is so controversial that no insurance company in the United States will actually insure you if you put it into your supplement. It comes from the earth, and it was first isolated from the bark of a West African evergreen tree. And it's been used in ancient African cultures as an aphrodisiac. It's been studied as a natural form of treatment for ED, or erectile dysfunction, cardiovascular disease, and even improvement in like physical performance, like sprinting. This herbal ingredient has actually gotten a really bad rep here in the United States because it's typically been combined with other stimulants by men in the bodybuilding and the exercise sector. Now, this herbal ingredient has been around for centuries, and it's called Yohimbe. The name says it all, right? So let me put this disclaimer out there, because it can cause nausea, tremors, anxiety, dizziness, headaches, sleep disorders, increased blood pressure, and heart rate. So you really do have to check with your physician if you experience erectile dysfunction in any way, shape, or form, because it actually could be an underlying form of heart disease, but also before you take anything new. Now, I want to be clear here that once you become psychologically dependent on any pre-sex activity or a supplement or a vitamin or anything or a pill, it creates a terrible problem for you, because you essentially train your brain to think that you can't do it without the aid of another substance. It drains the spontaneity, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You thinketh, therefore you wanteth. Right? Or something like that. But let's face it, we have been conditioned to believe that if you swallow the right thing at the right moment, you can slay dragons and goblins with that thing down there. So let's get to it. Now, if you run down to your local drugstore, what could you buy today that will get you there without a prescription? One of my favorite ones to talk about, because it will get you to the promised land, but I'm not 100% crazy about the ingredient, is a product called ExtenZe. This is the new fast-acting version of it. Now, ExtenZe ER soft gel caps, 15-day supply. Now, this will likely help you get an erection if you've knocked the cobwebs off of the tissue, as we've talked about, and there's really good elasticity there and minimal calcifications. Now, this isn't going to be the best thing for you. It's not going to work for you if you aren't getting morning wood right now. Because remember, morning wood is a sign that you're exercising at night, you're getting the nice, stiff, chubby erections without really even having to think about it. And that's a sign to your physician and to you that all is going as planned down there. So if you're not getting morning wood, this probably isn't going to get you to the promised land. But if everything is okay down there and you just want something to just get you there, this will potentially help. Now, this is not going to help rehabilitate the whole situation and help you with your internal mechanisms and boost nitric oxide production internally and really help with antioxidants and reactive oxygen species and all of that. That's what our smoothie recipes are designed to do. These are designed to work overtime to really fix things. This is more about what can I do in this hot second, in this moment? I need something. I don't believe that my abilities to get hard are going to get me there. What can I use? And this is what this product is about. So in order to understand really how Yohimbe works and what really makes it different than a lot of the other stuff out there, I want to share with you this. So in order to stay flaccid and in your normal state, there needs to be norepinephrine present, right? So here we go. Norepinephrine, which is a fight or flight hormone, which is going to work on the alpha 1 and 2 adrenal receptors. And that is what keeps you soft. Now, if we going and we want to get stiff or something happens and an erection occurs, what has to happen is there has to be a blockade of these receptors in order to get hard or stiff. So your natural state actually has norepinephrine keeping you soft. And in order to get stiff, you have to block those receptors to get hard and stiff. And what's happening when we talk so much about a nitric oxide is that those alpha 1 and 2 adrenergic receptors actually release nitric oxide. That nitric oxide causes an intracellular, inside the cell, increase in cyclic AMP or cGMP, which causes relaxation of the blood vessels, which is how you get stiff. And the only way that really happens is if you have these receptors blocked. So actually, the factor that determines how much of an erection you actually have is a really fine-tuned balance. It's going to be a balance about how much nitric oxide is there. And this is being released by the non-adrenergic, non-cholinergic nerves, right? So we got the nitric oxide, and then it's got to balance with that sympathetic tone. So that is the fight or flight. So I want you to know that we do have to have some level of adrenaline there in order to be able to get and keep an erection. So on the one hand, if we want to simplify it, the nitric oxide release and the non-adrenergic nerve system is happening right in the corpora or the penile tissue, whereas the nerve stimulus that's happening to keep that fight or flight piece balanced is happening in the brain. And so when we have drugs like Viagra, Cialis, and the generics equivalents, they're really just focusing on this area. So what makes Yohimbe different is that it actually is working on both levels. It's working at the nerve level, the central level, to do this, and it's working locally or right at the penile tissue to do this. So it actually is doing something that's revolutionary in this space. Now, the first thing I do not like about this product, one thing I hate about it are the artificial dyes that they put in this stuff. So first of all, men don't want their product to light up like kryptonite. They want a healthy product that they can depend on. And that's my first problem. It has caramel color like cola. It has red dye number 40, yellow dye number 6, and blue dye number 1. Why? Along with a bunch of unnecessary fillers that they've actually used to create, quote, a gel cap. Now, the ingredients, though, aren't bad. Of course, I can't vouch for the quality of the ingredients and so forth, but they have tribulus, velvet bean extract, which is designed to help boost dopamine levels or passion. They have DHEA, which is actually a precursor to testosterone. They have maca root, which we've talked about significantly. L-arginine, as I'm not a fan of L-arginine, but I do believe that a little L-arginine every now and then isn't going to hurt anybody. The problem is that you don't want to get involved in taking L-arginine chronically. And in some men, particularly for men over 50, that L-arginine can actually change into ADMA or asymmetric dimethylarginine because the enzyme that's supposed to change L-arginine into nitric oxide, called NOS or nitric oxide synthase, is oftentimes unable to convert it properly over to nitric oxide. So a little bit every now and then isn't gonna hurt anything, but this is not something I want you to take chronically. that L-arginine. So that's one thing. And then another, it's got Cnidium extract, pregnenolone, which is another precursor to the hormone testosterone, epimedium, love epimedium, warapuama, astragalus root, and black pepper. Another thing, black pepper can actually interfere with the gut. And you know how important, if you're following me, you know how important gut integrity is. It can actually precipitate leaky gut, which is a whole nother conversation, and interfere with absorption of nutrients that are supposed to be there. The other thing, but the main component of this, the reason that they say it works so quickly is because they've put Yohimbe in it. Okay, so this is not something, I want to preface this. This is not something that I would even recommend that you go out and take every single day. But if you're in a pinch and you're at the drugstore and you want something that could potentially get you an erection, ExtenZe ER is going to be just that. So let me talk about Yohimbe a little bit, the main active ingredient, how it got such a bad rap, and kind of my own personal take on Yohimbe. So the pharmacological activity of Yohimbe is really mediated by this combined action of the central and peripheral nervous system. So remember, central here, peripheral, think here. And it's unique because like Viagra, Stendra, Cialis, and their generic equivalents really work mostly peripherally, like right through here. So meaning that they work on the tissue and not necessarily the central nervous system or the spinal nerves or anything like that, like the brain either. Yohimbe is what we call an alpha-2 receptor antagonist. And it was licensed way back in Germany in 1978 for erectile dysfunction. In Canada as far back as 1951 for erectile dysfunction. So this is not something that's new, but what's new is the fact that it has fallen out of favor and that they really don't want you to use it. Another thing I want you to talk about when it comes to Yohimbe, and when you see this on the product label, is I want to talk about ejaculation. How can we talk about this topic without talking about that? It will likely help those of you who write in and are having an issue with ejaculation. Not that you're having it prematurely, but the ones who are writing in because their partner's complaining that it's taking too long to finish, or you're having trouble finishing at all. Because it's actually an alpha-2 adrenal receptor antagonist, which has been shown to stimulate the ejaculatory response in male animal models. It helps exert that balance of being relaxed and being up all at the same time, right? So being relaxed is the parasympathetic nervous system. The being in it to win it is the fight or flight nervous system. And both of them really need to be active. To get an erection is more parasympathetic, but to keep the erection, we need more sympathetic. And Yohimbe is really about balancing those two. Now, one thing I want to make very clear is that Yohimbe administration has also been shown to increase heart rate, systolic blood pressure, alertness, and localized blood flow. And an early study reported that Yohimbe actually constricts the blood vessels that are going to the intestines and things, and it helps shunt blood flow to other things like skeletal muscle and erections. Yohimbe is really rapidly absorbed, which is why these products can say that they work so quickly. And it's usually, in most people, easily excreted or gotten rid of from the body within 30 minutes. So I will say this, there's some studies that show that Yohimbe given at higher doses has been shown to improve organic erectile dysfunction. There's been some studies that have even shown that afterwards, blood pressure was normal, there were no cardiovascular responses, and there were no significant changes in heart rate. And it was found actually in several studies to be safe for men with medically controlled hypertension. That does not mean uncontrolled hypertension. But I will also say that there are 2 case studies that are published about the toxic aspects of Yohimbe, which is probably the main reason why Yohimbe is hard to get here in the United States, of 2 really healthy young gentlemen who took it. And one of them was taking scoops of it and putting it into his shakes in the morning. And he dropped dead right before he was about to go into the gym. And another gentleman, 37-year-old guy, was basically using it to lose weight, had major success losing weight. And when both of them passed away, they analyzed their bloodstream and found high levels of Yohimbe there. Now, these gentlemen had Yohimbe levels above 5,400 nanograms per milliliter, which means that they were taking a lot of Yohimbe. So if you'll notice, these products have disclaimers on them. They're like, please don't take more than 4 within a day, depending on the product. And it is really important to pay attention to that. So it's a stimulant. It should not be consumed with the energy drinks, the caffeine supplements, the ephedra if you're trying to lose weight. So those are things that should absolutely not be combined with Yohimbe. It should be taken on a full stomach. It should be taken as directed. It should not be taken with Viagra or high doses of any nitric oxide supplement that you're taking, because they could have synergistic effects. They can all work together and potentially do too much to do the most. So when you see Yohimbe on the labels, you'll know why it's there, because it actually does work. But you'll also know that there are potential side effects that you can have from it. You'll also know not to combine it with high caffeine energy drinks, stimulants like ephedra, and to ask your doctor before you try any new supplement, because every one of you is different. Each and every one of us is different. So share this video, subscribe, turn your notifications on when the next video is released, and comment below to let me know what other products you want reviews on that you may be interested in, or how I can help. Useful links are in the description below. Live free and go hard. And I'll see you next time.